Good afternoon. My name is Regence Norwoods. I'm a Senior Certification Officer here at the City of Chicago, Department of Procurement. I'm a licensed CPA and have over 18 years of experience in the accounting and auditing industry. One of my responsibilities here at the city is to review new, renewed, and ongoing minority, women, or disadvantaged business enterprise applications. Welcome to the How to Become Certified workshop. This workshop will provide information on who is qualified to be certified as a minority, women, or disadvantaged business enterprise. DPS is one of the certifying agencies for M, W, and DBE certifications. Today you will learn about what documents are needed when submitting an application and how to avoid the most common mistakes in the certification process. So if you have any questions, please ask me towards the end of the presentation. We'll have a microphone since this is being live streamed. Okay, so this is the Becoming Certified with the City of Chicago workshop. The department overview, who we are. Department of Procurement Service, which is DPS, is the contracting authority for the procurement of goods and services for the City of Chicago. We work together as a team and with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process by establishing, communicating, and enforcing superior business practices. What we do. DPS is committed to providing information, resources, and tools to assist you in your efforts to compete for City of Chicago contracting opportunities. We accept and review new applications for certification, annual no-change affidavits, which applies when you're already certified, and recertification applications, which is required every 5 years for the M and the WBE programs. We'll get into this a little bit later. What else do we do? We ensure contract compliance with negotiated contractual MWDBE participation goals. We also set standards for contract participation for MWBEs as well as DBE and ACDBEs. We also assist vendors through our websites. The most common websites that we use and we refer to are the www.cityofchicago.org/procurement and the chicago.mwdbe.com website. So these are the acronyms you've been hearing me say. The MWBE, which is the Minority-Owned Business Enterprise. The WBE, which is the Women-Owned Business Enterprise. BEPD, which is the businesses owned by people with disabilities. The DBE, which is the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. And the ACDBE, which is the Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprises. And these are the certification programs that the City of Chicago regulates. The first three are for local contracts. Those are required, those certifications. And the last two are required for federal contracts. What are the benefits of certification and why you should become certified? The benefits, it provides visibility. Once your firm is certified, it's listed in a directory which is accessible to the general public. There are minority, women, and disadvantaged business participation goals on City of Chicago projects and the sister agencies. There are businesses in the private sector that seek out certified firms for products and or services. Also, the City of Chicago has a target market program which provides exclusive bidding to certified minority and women-owned business enterprises. This allows certified businesses to take 100% of the contract because there are no subcontractor goals associated with the project. Do you qualify? The different qualifying groups are as follows: the African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, Native Americans, women, persons with disabilities, and if this group is not if your group is not listed above, there are other individuals who, if they can prove social and economic disadvantage, could qualify. Your local business also needs to be, the majority of the full-time workforce needs to be located in one of the 6 counties in Illinois, which is Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, or Will. For the DBE and the ACDBE, the business just needs to be located anywhere in Illinois. Is your firm 51% owned, controlled, and managed by a minority, women, person, or person with disability, or socially or economically disadvantaged individual? Are the gross receipts of the business more than $38.11 million average over 3 years for non-construction firms? If they are, you would not qualify. You would be considered an established business. For construction firms, those requirements are based on the SBA size standards over 5 years, average over 5 years. For DBE, you're not to exceed $23.98 million, or the SBA size standards average over 3 years. For ACDBE, you're not to exceed $56.42 million. For most firms, some exceptions do exist. So as you can see, those limits are really high. So unless you're making that kind of money, your firm would qualify. Personal net worth standard. The threshold only applies to construction companies and is currently $2.237 million. This is evaluated annually by the City of Chicago. For DBE and ACDBE certifications, the threshold applies to all people seeking certification and is currently $1.32 million. This is adjusted periodically by the U.S. Department of Transportation. The calculation of the personal net worth excludes the value of your primary residence and the interest in the certified firm. So everything else is considered to be part of your personal net worth. So we're bringing your standard, your PNW down. What is the application process? So for beginners, everything is electronic and done online. There's very, very few exceptions for paper applications. And the online application is located at chicago.mwdbe.com. Currently, you need to submit the $250 fee via money order or cashier's check. That can be either mailed or dropped off here at City Hall in room 806. There is no fee for the DBE, ACDBE, or the BEPD program. When you're submitting the supporting documentation online, just be sure that it is complete and that everything that is required and mandatory is submitted online. What we need from you, we need your most up-to-date contact information. So you need to be sure that your email, especially your email and your phone number, is current, and your address. You also need to specify the type of certification you are seeking, whether it be the MW, DBE, ACDBE, or BEPD. The BEPD program requires a Schedule G form, so that's just to verify that you're disabled. Other ownership information, employee, facility, financial information, and licenses for the applicant and the business should also be submitted. What else do we need from you? So we need to verify that you have the experience. So we need your resumes, your professional associations, listing of equipment, copies of leases executed with the signature, contract information, what's pending, what are your most current contracts within the past year or two, invoices and purchase orders. So proof that, that you have that experience. The purpose for this information is just to understand, for the officer to understand and make a determination that you meet the basic eligibility requirements. What are the types of businesses that qualify? The sole proprietor, which is typically owned by only one person. He has no legal existence apart from the person, him or herself. With this type of business, you must submit an assumed name certificate if operating in the name other than your owner. For a general partnership, which is 2 or more people going into business together, without any formalities, we require a partnership agreement. For limited partnership, the limited partners are more like stakeholders in a corporation. They are not liable for the debts beyond their own contribution. We ask for the assumed name certification or certificate of limited partnership. Corporations, if your firm's a corporation is treated as an entity completely separate from its shareholders. It allows others to invest in the business without being liable for the debts of that business. Your firm must be in good standing with the state of Illinois. Other types of documents that we require are articles of incorporation, the certificate of incorporation, your bylaws, copies of all stock certificates issued, the front and the back, and board meeting minutes. Ownership information. The limited liability company, this is partnerships that have a managing member or a partner. We ask for the operating agreement. So if those are the types of businesses you have, these are the type of documents that would apply. The next few slides I'm going to talk about relate to the suppliers and the distributors that are trying to get certified. There are specific guidelines and policies that apply, which can be found in more detail online. But in summary, a supplier must be a regular dealer, which is a firm that owns, operates, or maintains a store, warehouse, or other establishment in which materials, supplies, articles, or equipment are bought, kept in stock, and regularly sold or leased to the public in the usual course of business. So what's key here is you must be a regular dealer and your inventory must be kept in stock. If your firm is a distributor, firms operating as a distributor are identified as having a direct relationship with a manufacturer to distribute its goods and products within a specific territory or region. The goods and or products are not available or sold to the public. So types of documentation that we would require here would be manufacturing agreements and specific products that you're agreeing to sell for the manufacturer. What is not certifiable? If you are a broker, firms acting as a broker are not eligible for the certification as an MBE or WBE. So what does that mean? A broker is a person or entity that fills out orders by purchasing or receiving supplies from a third-party supplier rather than out of its own inventory, and provides no substantial service other than acting as a conduit between his or her supplier and his or her customer. So you can't just simply make an order for another company, and that would be acting as a broker. After the applications are submitted, what happens now? So the process can take approximately 60 to 90 days from the day we receive all of the documents. Your application is checked to make sure we have all of the documentation. So what that means is your application is assigned to a certification officer. The officer reviews your documentation, and they might have additional requests, maybe more information, and then you'll have so much time to respond. Those documents are thoroughly audited, and you might even receive a site visit depending on your type of business. It might be determined that you'll need a site visits. If approved, your BEPD, your certification is valid for 5 years. So it doesn't expire. You just have to keep up with the no change affidavits and the other requirements. But every 5 years, you go through the same process. It's called a recertification.
So the no change affidavit is every 5 years or every year?
The no change? Okay, you'll need to speak up to repeat your question, or you can ask it towards the end of the presentation. Because it's being live streamed, they need to hear
that's fine. The question was just the no change affidavit, is that renewed every year or every 5 years?
The no change affidavit's an annual, is an annual process. Yeah, you just, if anything, it's to identify if anything has materially changed, like to your certification. Okay, sorry about that. So expedited process. There is an expedited process, which doesn't mean it's faster. It's just an abbreviated process. This applies only if you're already certified through an outside firm or agency. I'm sorry. The Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council, if you're recognized by that organization, or the Women's Business Development Center, WBDC. This application requires less documentation, but it is still assigned to an officer for review, and they still do their due diligence to ensure the eligibility of the firm.
Question? What about I think it's called the UCP, the Illinois UCP, that certifies for the DBE? If you're already certified as a DBE, can you go through an expedited process?
No, that is for the federal program. That's for if you're certified like via METRA or
IDOT, yeah.
Or CTA, the city will recognize that certification. But that's different. That's a federal certification. It's different from the local, which is the M and the W.
Okay. I was just wondering whether that was a sister program that also gives you expedited process.
No, no, it won't. If you're already certified as a DB, you still have to go through the process for the M and the W. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Maintaining certification. This is going to probably answer your previous question. So all vendors must submit an annual no change affidavit. You must notify the Certification and Compliance Division regarding any organizational changes, business name changes, ownership changes, even location change. If you've moved your address, we need to get a copy of your lease. These are called material changes. All BEPD vendors must recertify every 5 years. If you're looking to expand your services and ask for additional codes, this is usually done through it can be done at any time, but during a no change affidavit is when we see it most often. You have to submit your request on company letterhead. You must include added categories from the North American Industry Classification System Code, which we say NACIS. You must also include the required licenses, copy of future or present contracts, and any needed insurance. This is, you're basically trying to support that you're qualified for those expanded service codes. Sister agencies. Here's a list of the sister agencies that accept the City of Chicago certification on their contracts. So with a MWDBE, these agencies will accept the contracts. So to avoid the top 10 reasons applications are denied, so unsubstantiated or questionable ownership and control, unclear description of critical functions and who is responsible. The company cannot substantiate where the startup funds expansion capital came from. Outside secondary employment takes the majority of the BEPD DBE enterprise's time each day. The company is not located in one of the 6 county regions. The point of contact did not respond to requests for information in a timely manner. So here, again, you want to check your emails, make sure that we have the most current email, because that's where most of our requests are going to be made, or we might even call you, so we need to make sure that we have the most current phone number. There's inconsistencies with the applicant firm name among various documents. There's problems with contracts, missing, incomplete, or not signed and executed by qualifying owners, or have no corresponding proof of payments. Required documents are not attached, or no explanation is given as to why the documents are not available. So, for instance, if something doesn't apply because maybe you're a startup company and tax returns don't apply because you haven't filed any you just want to provide an explanation. You can upload one general document for anything that applies. You can say this does not apply, I'm a startup company. 3 to 5 years of tax returns were not submitted, depending on what the requirement is, signed as required. So we understand most tax returns are filed electronically. We still will request a signed copy, and that might hold things up if you don't provide a signed copy. So I guess to avoid the top 10 reasons, my advice would just to be specific, be responsive, and just be honest. Where to go for help if you have any questions, you can always come to the Department of Procurement Services. We're located here in City Hall, 121 North LaSalle, room 806. You can always call us. Officers are on call from, I believe, 8:30 to 5. The phone number is 312-744-4900, option 1. You can also talk to a consultant who is located at the BACP office, which is in room 800. Her name is Stephanie Bonner. Her phone number is 312-744-1266. Or you could always contact your area assist agency. So that's all I have. If you have any additional questions, I can try and answer them for you. Did you have any other questions? Okay.
Oh, my question's a little bit specific. Is that okay?
I can, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, 2 things. What I'm doing is I actually had a sole proprietorship that actually has a DBE certification, but also had outside a secondary employment additional to that. So the process I'm going through right now is actually transitioning that sole proprietorship into a corporation. So I will have the paper trail that continues It says, okay, the new corporation is also a DBE. Now, while I'm filing with it as an MBE, do I want to just say the corporation is a startup, or show the paper trail from the sole proprietorship to
Okay,
corporation?
so I'll just introduce.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does to me. So I'll just introduce you to a couple other officers who are here. So if I don't answer your question completely, they will hopefully be able to. So what I normally do when I'm reviewing somebody's file application that has a previous company in a different name or a sole proprietorship turning into a corporation, I do ask for that information, and I do require to see gross receipts for those years that you were in business, even if as a sole proprietorship. So you would definitely want to provide that information and let the officer know.
Yeah, it was just something that I was doing on the side, not like a ton of contracts, but it's just.
It's something, though,
yeah.
So it's definitely something worth
Okay.
including in your application.
Okay.
For some additional information, I'm Sonia Larkin, Certification Officer. For some additional information, tell us what your business does. So you're a sole proprietor currently, and the business is it a supplier? Are you in construction? Tell us what the firm does.
Oh yeah, so my firm is it's an engineering design firm. So essentially, I had contracts here and there, doing a little bit of work, just doing some engineering work. But now it's really, like I said, creating a corporation and actually going for a little bit of public as opposed to private contracts.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, the question is, do we want to see that paper trail? And then also, I guess the second question I had was more so. It says outside secondary employment takes the majority. I know, I think for the DBE, you had to be 100% working on your own corporation as opposed to having secondary employment. Is that also a necessity for the MBE, 100% time committed to working on it and not having any type of secondary employment?
Well, secondary employment we do look into, so it would be up to the certification officer to determine, if you qualified. I guess it depends. I don't think there's like 100% requirement devoted, but enough time devoted.
Right.
There's no amount.
Well, I mean, according to the rules and regulations, we do require that you commit 100% of your time. But in your case, and is in the case of many others who come into the program with new applications on new businesses, they are still gainfully employed while they are building the business. Right. That's all a part of the documentation that you're going to supply for the review by the reviewer, in this case, probably an officer.
Okay. So there's no actual like cutoff point. Just says, hey, if you're not doing 100, that's.
Well, I mean, this program again was created so that small businesses could partake in the large municipal contracts. But we do understand that you need an income while you're building your business. So everything is reviewed.
Okay.
And it is case by case specific. We're not going to tell you yes, and we're not going to tell you no.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it just depends.
Okay. All right, got it.
Basically, I mean, it's up to the officer to determine if,
So with your sole proprietorship over these years, that's been on your personal tax return.
That's correct.
So in this case, you would be supplying us with, because you said it's engineering, you have a professional license with the state of Illinois. You'd be providing us a copy of that. You'd be providing us with a detailed resume indicating not only what you're doing in your business, but what you've done in your current and previous employment. You would also be providing us with 3 years of tax returns. In this case, sole proprietorship, that would have been income, probably 1099 on your tax return. And that you asked the question of Regents about sole proprietor ultimately turning into a corporation. So we would want those documents from the sole proprietorship. We want the tax returns from the sole proprietorship. And then ultimately the corporation documents. All right, I think unless you have other questions.
No, that was it. I think that answers the question.
So we're going to say thank you very much for coming today and all the questions that you've given us.
Yeah. There was a second one though.
There's
How to do
another.
business.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's next. That's not me, though.
Right, and it's an excellent
I'm in for the long
workshop.
haul.
Good.
Yeah, you're in the right place, and you should definitely take advantage of this program.
You should look into all of there's a list of workshops that are available to you. You know, as any of the officers would say, we strongly recommend that you attend those if you have the time.
Yeah, I looked online and there's a list of workshops.
Yeah, so we're just going to go offline now. We're going to turn it off. Yeah. And just say to follow us on our social media pages, and thank you for being here today for those who are in class and watching us online. This is some of our contact information if you would like to visit the website or call us at our office. And the next workshop to follow at 3:15 is doing business with the City of Chicago. Thank you.